welcome to the Not That Deep YouTube channel.
Glad to be back.
And we're going to be addressing the Libyan slave trade.
Yeah, it's one of the more serious videos. It definitely has to be addressed. It seems like a lot. First, let's just go into what it is.
Yeah. So basically, refugees from Western African nations are trying to get to European nations through the pathway of Libya. So Libya has a nice port to the European nations that people have been using to, get a better life from the nations that they've been coming from.
Yeah, so they're pretty much Libya is on the coast of North Africa, and so it's not too far from the Western African countries, but close enough to the European part to where it's like a feasible route for them to take.
Yeah.
And the problem is arising while they're on that route.
Yeah, so recently I'm sure everybody has seen maybe some images in the news, but definitely from social media, images of people being held in detention centers, really just, slave quarters by Libyan forces. And this has been going on, first recorded in the UN since spring of this year, but it's really actually been going on since Gaddafi has been overthrown.
So since about 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much what happens to these people that are trying to take this route is that kidnappers might get a hold of them, or Libyan forces might get a hold of them, and they are now being held captive, and they can't really leave. And deportation isn't a very feasible option for them because they're trying to leave their countries for a reason. The only reason that they're on this route is because the life in their country isn't one that's satisfactory.
Yeah, either the government structure is too corrupt to care, or nobody's really being held accountable enough, or they don't have the money to send their forces out there. Essentially, Libya is in a state of destitute. People are trying to get money any way they can, and at this point, the slave market is 50% of their economy. So.
And there isn't a strong centralized government there to keep things enforced because they have no ruler. Ever since Gaddafi has been overthrown, they've been in a rulerless type of country or a rulerless government. And so there's no one there to make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do, or that any orders are being carried out. So
yeah, basically, this is basically how it would happen if you were from a refugee trying to get to Europe. You would be escorted on these pickup trucks through the desert by racist smugglers. They're racist Libyans at this point, racist people who are just there for the money. Mm-hmm. They help smuggle you. If you get out of line, they beat you with machetes. If they're feeling horny at night, they may rape some of the women on the trucks. And then they transport you to one of the waterways in Libya, and you get on an inflatable boat.
Life raft.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's an inflatable boat with it could be anywhere from 100 to 250 people on each one. And they send you out into the waters to go into Europe. Now, one of the smugglers did an interview in a documentary. He's arrested now, and he was describing how they know that these boats aren't going to make the 200 miles. They really think it can only make about 15 of the miles, but they're hoping that at the 13th mile, where the Italian Navy runs the waters, they'll then capture the refugees from that point. Yeah. So if they don't capture them, then usually they drown.
Yeah, or that's how they end up getting sold into slavery.
Yeah.
Because, it's kind of like the smugglers only care about getting the money. So once they get the money for the waterway portion of the passengers' travel, they don't really care about their life. So it's okay, we have your money, let's all get you on the boat, and either we'll sell you and flip you and make more money, the Italian Navy will take care of you, or you'll just pass away on the voyage, and that's not really my concern. And so this is why you should care, because it seems like it's far removed. It seems like, people in America or Europe or Canada or wherever can't really do much. But this is like a humanitarian issue. This is a worldwide issue because the problems that these refugees are facing are humanitarian problems. You know what I mean?
And we, especially in Western nations, should care because our leaders are the reason why a lot of these African nations are in the state that they're in as far as corruption, the influx of armed weapons, because please keep in mind the US that's our number one export. We get a big bank on exporting our military goods, and a lot of them are following. We arm terrorist groups to go against these leaders who allegedly aren't in line with our agenda.
We want. Yeah. So and then we arm them and we kill their leaders, whether they are good, bad, in between. That's not really, to me, that's not our judgment call to make because we aren't in these countries. We're not living with these leaders, but we try to overthrow their leaders, and then when this happens and they are now in a state of disarray and there is no leader and there is no centralized government and all of these rebel groups now split up and they're still heavily armed, now you have situations where the citizens are at risk, and it's almost like Libya is like another Syria again, except way worse.
And we actually, a motivating factor for us to overthrow the Gaddafi, the U.S.'s motivating factor was so that we can better tackle Syria. So keep in mind, this is all a part of the same plan.
Yeah. And I know, especially if you live in the U.S., you're saying, well, all of these things might be true, but look at who our leader is. That's a valid point, but I think that's when it becomes time for us to look at other options other than our president. Because we know that he's trash. And if we really get down to the nitty-gritty, the president before him, who was much more caring, much more in tune with the people, allegedly, is the one who set up these conditions for things to be this bad in Libya anyway. And so we shouldn't be looking to our current president because we know he ain't shit. We should be looking to our past presidents, and we should be looking to the United Nations because they are the people who can truly do intervention.
The European Union as well.
Yes.
Y'all aren't.
Because you guys are right there. We should be looking at the Italian Navy or the Italian government, since they are the ones who not only colonized Libya, but are still in contact with the Libyan forces. So, there are people who we can put the pressure on so that they get the job done. Again, we have to ask the UN not for sanctions, but for intervention, because Libya doesn't have a government right now. So even if the UN sanctions them, there's no one to give a fuck about the sanctions, which is why we have to ask the UN to intervene, because this is a humanitarian crisis. This is an actual, genocide issue.
Yeah, I mean, there are options that we can take in the U.S. Right now, I think the biggest one is to encourage really having an uprising where we're raising awareness and we're encouraging our leaders to do something, whether that be through petitions or just campaigns or protests or something.
Protesting at Libyan embassies.
Yes, we just have to say that we know that you are accountable. We know that you guys lied about the horrors of Gaddafi. We know that the main motivating factor for you to go into there was for your own military financial gain. We know the truth. So now you have to act.
Exactly. And especially people of color, especially black people in the diaspora, I understand that it can feel overwhelming, or you might feel powerless, well, what the fuck am I especially supposed to do? But I feel like if no one else acts, it's up to black people within the diaspora to act, because this is exactly how the diaspora became in existence in the first place.
Through the slave trade.
Yes, of course you have the natural migration and spread of black bodies, and that's fine, but this natural spread was exacerbated through the slave trade and through less fortunate Africans being sold by other Africans into slavery for economic gain. And if you cannot see that this is the same thing that's happening in 2017, then are you blind? bro. Like, this is an issue, and you know, history repeats itself, and so it's just a matter of like, what side of history do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of action, or do you want to be on the side of inaction? Because if you're not acting, then you're a part of the problem. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not signing petitions, if you're not at least trying to figure out how you can play a part, then you're a part of the issue. Because again, these people cannot speak up for themselves, and even if they can, nobody's listening.
So, didn't you say that we can petition the UN?
Yes, we can. We can petition the UN on a individual basis and on a group basis, and you can petition them not for sanctions, but to intervene. All you have to do is say that it's a humanitarian crisis and civil rights and what are civil and human rights are being violated. And if enough people do it, then the United Nations has to act. Also, phone in your senators, call your representatives in the White House.
Because they are aware.
Yeah, and put the pressure on their necks. Because even if our president isn't going to do anything, you know what I mean, our representatives can, or they can at least bring it up, or whatever the case may be. And this is gonna be unpopular. But I know y'all love Obama so much. Y'all be mentioning him all the time on the bird and the book, okay? I really need y'all to use the same energy and get your fave former president to intervene. You know, the same way that Jimmy Carter steps in on behalf of niggas all the time to do damage control. Yeah, I need y'all to get Obama on the main line and be like, hey bro, shit's fucking up. They're selling black people in Libya. Where is your opinion? Where is your stance? Where is your motherfucking everybody loves me ass to bridge some gaps and stop this shit?
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are things being done. I wouldn't say unfortunately, but some of the efforts are questionable. There are there are currently some private militias trying to move forward there. My confusion is that the tribal leaders currently in Libya have private militias. I would encourage them to maybe unify in a way that they can actually do something for their country. I'm not sure if we need European private militias personally, but
the thing is that those same tribal leaders benefit from the slave trade because, like you said, that is 50% of their economic growth, or where they're getting their economy from. So it's a sticky situation, which is why I think foreign intervention is needed. I mean, y'all intervene for everything the fuck else.
Yeah.
Hell,
we need y'all.
Y'all were so concerned about this biracial lady marrying the Prince of England. Keep the same energy for the people of Libya, bro.
Please.
Seriously.
Because they do need it. People are pregnant, 9 months pregnant in these type of situations. Babies really only last maybe a week or 2 after they're born. So things are really terrible. They eat, sleep, use the bathroom in the same pallets. Something has to be done.
And, you know, you're not too far removed to do something. Like I said earlier, inaction is still action. You are making the action to not do shit. So, you know, it's just as simple as logging on to your Twitter and, clicking a link and signing a petition. It's really that simple.
You have nothing to lose by helping, but a lot of people have everything to lose if you don't.
Exactly. So, you know, just do it. Like Nike, just do it. Play your role.
Yeah. Till next time, guys.